While less than half a square mile in size, tiny Trumbauersville Borough in eastern Pennsylvania's Bucks County packs enough history, industry, and small-town charm for a municipality 10 times its size. Trumbauersville, located on the outskirts of the larger and better-known Quaker town, served as the locale for one of the nation's earliest tax revolts, was home for that region's busy cigar industry, and today is home to local, family-owned businesses and good old-fashioned community celebrations. Named after a family of German immigrants who arrived on America's shores in 1733, the borough, first known as Charleston, was incorporated in 1908. A log church, considered the borough's first place of worship, was built in 1768, and its first schoolhouse in 1851. Today, the borough, which has its own elementary school, is part of the Quakertown Community School District. By 1752, what would become Trumbauersville featured well-known eating and lodging establishments. The borough also took on the role of a crossroads, as it occupied a strategic location on the road north from Philadelphia into what founding father William Penn called the Great Swamp. Trumbauersville's Spread Eagle Hotel, later known as the Colonial Inn, was the first tavern established at the crossroads of Philadelphia and Durham Roads, also known in town as the Lower Crossroads. Several meetings regarding the Fries Rebellion, also known as the House Tax Rebellion, occurred there. Another significant location during the Fries Rebellion was the Trum Tavern, still to this day located at and operating as a tavern at the intersection of Broad and Main Streets. It was there in 1799 that John Fries confronted assessors seeking to value houses as part of a government plan to set a property tax. Fries' Rebellion was the third of 3 rebellions against taxes in the recently christened United States, the first being Shays' Rebellion in Massachusetts, and the second being the Whiskey Rebellion, which also took place in Pennsylvania. It was in the Trum Tavern where, in February 1799, assessors were warned to stop making assessments. At the same time, in neighboring Northampton County, a judge had ordered the arrest and confinement of several Northampton citizens, also vehemently opposed to the assessments. By April, Fries had been arrested after leading a group which tried to free those confined in Northampton County. Later tried and convicted of treason and sentenced to be hung, then-President John Adams pardoned him on May 23rd. Fries lived out the rest of his days in Trumbauersville, dying there around 1818. By 1876, as in other municipalities in the region, cigar-making factories began popping up in town, employing hundreds of workers, whose incomes would then in turn stimulate the local economy. Local businessmen converted barns and factories and brought in tons of leaf tobacco. The cigar-making business took off, just at the right time, too. By 1899, the telephone had come to town. A number of the larger buildings located in the current borough were once used in the cigar industry. Most of these have been renovated to house apartments and businesses. In 1908, Trumbauersville, which today is governed by a mayor and a 7-person borough council, was legally established by a court. Shortly before that, in 1905, Trumbauersville Fire Company No. 1 was organized, receiving its charter the following May. In 2014, Fire Company No. 1, staffed entirely by volunteers, had answered over 140 fire calls that year and had an operational budget averaging over $178,000 a year. The cigar business brought money and people to Trumbauersville, with the population swelling from 575 in 1908 to 700 by 1915. But by 1917, many had left the local cigar-making business to work for Bethlehem Steel, signaling the beginning of the slow decline of cigar shops in not only the borough, but the region as well. Interestingly, the area's cigar industry contributed to the foundation of a dialect known as PA Dutch. With Trumbauersville's heavy population of non-English-speaking German immigrants, new words were crafted to describe new tools used in the cigar-making trade and others. While PA Dutch bears no resemblance to the actual Dutch language, the term stuck and is still in use today. In the ensuing years, Trumbauersville produced its fair share of healthy babies and strong families, veterans of foreign wars, and star athletes, one of whom stands out, baseballer Robert "Ducky" Detweiler. Detweiler graduated in 1938 from Quakertown High School. In 1939, he signed with the Philadelphia Athletics to play for their affiliate team, the Federalsburg Athletics of the Eastern Shore League. Detweiler made his major league debut in September 1942 with the Boston Braves. Like many of his generation, he interrupted his baseball career to serve his country in World War II. Detweiler served in the U.S. Army as a private between 1943 and 1945. While growth in the borough has continued, T-ville, as some locals call it, still holds on to its small-town feel. In 2010, the borough's population reached 974. Most of its residents are married and around the age of 51, and with many living in homes with a median value of around $185,000. The first weekend in June brings Trumbauersville's Community Day and the Lions Club Strawberry Festival. Community Day features Trumbauersville Fire Company No. 1 displaying gleaming fire engines for kids young and old to play on and in. There are also parades, hay rides, baking contests, face painting, and hundreds of ping pong balls being dropped from a plane. Wait a minute. What? Yes, you heard right. Ping pong balls. The ping pong balls, once retrieved, entitled the bearer to different treats from French fries to ice cream. Later in the summer, the Christ Evangelical Lutheran Church features drive-in movies for the family, complete with potluck dinners and hot dog roasts on some Friday nights. The borough's other church is the Christ Church of the United Church of Christ. Signaling summer's end is the borough's annual community pancake breakfast, served at Veterans Park off North Broad Street. All proceeds from the breakfast benefit local food banks. Visitors are encouraged to bring non-perishable food items for donations. More recently, the local business scene is populated by familiar local businesses like Spore's General Store, located directly in town center, and the family-owned Braccolanti Manufacturing, which has made quality machine parts in the borough since 1950 after starting out in the early 1940s behind Sylvine Braccolanti's house. Braccolanti Manufacturing now employs about 175 metalworkers in its 80,000 square foot facility on West Creamery Road. The company also operates in a facility in Suzhou, China. Trumbauersville has proven to be a popular location for manufacturing. In a small area, one can find a diverse cross-section of manufacturers working in plastics, glass, and metal. Spore's General Store had its first annual Beer Fest in 2014, the afternoon of the Community Pancake Breakfast, featuring a wide variety of craft beers, foods, and music. Spore's also has a popular craft beer room and old-fashioned ice cream shop. Another area attraction is the Oak Lane Quarter Midget Racing Speedway. Quarter Midget racers are racing cars driven by kids 5 to 17 years old that are about 1/4 the size of adult midget racers. There are thousands of midget racers nationwide, and many prominent professional racers got their starts in midget racing. Oak Lane, located at the North Penn Gun Club, was built in 1959. Oak Lane is a member of the Quarter Midgets of America, a national sanctioning body. Trumbauersville celebrated its centennial in 2008 with proclamations from the U.S. Senate, former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, and the Pennsylvania House of Representatives and Senate. What started as a dusty crossroads leading the way outside of the city of Philadelphia has settled into its place as a quiet but still relevant Upper Bucks County community.